The year was 2157. Earth looked small from the viewport of the asterisk horizon asterisk, but Captain Lisa Montgomery still felt connected to it. She stood with her back straight, watching the stars. The ship had traveled farther than most human vessels, past the orbit of Neptune and into the Kuiper Belt. They were chasing a signal that didn't make sense. "Captain, we're picking up the anomaly again." "It's stronger now," said Ben Harris, the communications officer. His fingers moved quickly across the control panel. Lisa nodded. "Change course. Let's find out what's sending that signal." The asterisk horizon asterisk was not a warship. It was an exploration vessel with a crew of 30. They were scientists, engineers, and a few security personnel. Their mission was simple: investigate unusual signals at the edge of the solar system. "Signal source located," Ben announced after several hours. It's a ship, Captain, and it's not one of ours." The bridge fell silent. After decades of searching the stars, humans had finally found proof they weren't alone. "Show me," Lisa ordered. The main screen displayed an object unlike anything they had seen before. It was smooth and oval-shaped, with a surface that seemed to shift colors like oil on water. It was at least 3 times larger than the asterisk horizon asterisk. "Are they scanning us?" Lisa asked. "Yes, but our systems are still functioning normally," replied Susan Wright, the chief engineer. She was young but brilliant, with steady hands and a mind that solved problems others couldn't even understand. Dr. Paul Martinez, the ship's archaeologist, stood from his station. "This is history happening right before our eyes," he said softly. His specialty was ancient human civilizations, but the chance to study alien culture had brought him aboard. "They're sending a transmission," Ben said suddenly. They're speaking English." The voice that came through the speakers was slightly mechanical but clear. "Human vessel, we greet you in peace. We are the Valari. We have been observing your species and wish to establish contact. We invite your representatives to board our vessel." Lisa exchanged looks with her officers. "Send a response. Tell them we accept their invitation and request permission to send a small delegation." 4 hours later, Lisa had assembled her team. She would lead, accompanied by Dr. Martinez, Susan Wright, and Jack Nelson from security. Jack was quiet and observant, with skills in both diplomacy and combat if needed. "We don't know what to expect," Lisa told them as they prepared to board the shuttle. "Our goal is peaceful contact, cultural exchange, and to learn about their technology and intentions. Be respectful, but remain alert." The shuttle journey to the Valari ship was short. As they approached, a section of the smooth hull simply opened, revealing a docking bay that glowed with soft blue light. No visible mechanisms, Susan noted, her eyes wide with wonder. Their technology must be centuries beyond ours. Inside, the air was breathable but had a slight metallic taste. The walls pulsed with gentle light, and the floor seemed to adjust to their steps, making walking easier in the artificial gravity. They were met by 3 figures. The aliens stood on 2 legs like humans, but were taller and more slender. Their skin had a faint blue tint, and their 4-fingered hands moved with unusual grace. They had no hair, and their large eyes were completely black. "Welcome aboard," said the one in the center. "I am Ambassador Zethrax. We have studied your languages and customs to make this meeting comfortable for you." "Thank you for your hospitality," Lisa replied. "I am Captain Lisa Montgomery of the Earth exploration vessel Asterisk Horizon Asterisk. We are honored to be the first humans to meet your species." Zethrax's mouth formed what might have been a smile. "The honor is ours, Captain. Your species has shown remarkable progress despite your limitations. Please, follow me. We have much to show you." As they walked deeper into the ship, Dr. Martinez whispered to Jack, "Did you notice? They said, despite your limitations. They're already judging us." Jack nodded slightly but kept his expression neutral. "Stay sharp, Doc. First impressions go both ways." The humans followed the Valari, unaware that this meeting would change the fate of their entire species. The inside of the Valari ship made the Horizon look like an ancient sailing vessel. The humans walked through corridors where lights followed their movements. Doors opened before anyone touched them. The air itself seemed to adjust to their comfort. "This room is our technology center," said Ambassador Zethrax, leading them into a vast chamber. "We thought you might appreciate seeing some of our daily tools." Susan Wright's eyes grew wide at the displays. One Valeri stood in front of what looked like a floating ball of light, moving his hands through it to create complex designs. "Is that how you design your ships?" Susan asked. The Valeri looked at her with what seemed like amusement. "No, this is merely a child's learning toy. Our actual design systems are much more advanced." Lisa noticed how the aliens always positioned themselves slightly above the humans, either standing on raised platforms or stretching to their full height. It was subtle but clear who they thought was superior. "This device," Zethrax continued, pointing to a small cube, "can generate enough power to run your entire Earth power grid. And this," he held up what looked like a thin piece of glass, "can store the entirety of human knowledge with room to spare." Dr. Martinez stepped forward. "We've brought some examples of human achievement as well." He opened the case he had carried from the Horizon. Inside were items he had carefully selected: a mechanical watch, a carved stone knife, a printed book, and a violin. The Valeri gathered around, looking at the items with their large black eyes. One of them picked up the stone knife, turning it over carefully. "You shape stones as tools?" the alien asked. "How? Interesting. We haven't used physical cutting tools in millennia. Our molecular separation fields make them unnecessary." Another Valeri tried to play the violin, producing a horrible screech before setting it down with obvious distaste. Such a crude method of producing sound waves. The aliens passed the mechanical watch among themselves, clicking and making sounds that the translation devices couldn't interpret. Lisa realized they were laughing. "You measure time with spinning gears," Zethrax finally said. "We find that charming, like the toys our ancestors made before proper civilization." Dr. Martinez's face grew slightly red, but he kept his voice calm. "These items represent thousands of years of human innovation. The knife shows how we learned to shape our environment. The watch demonstrates precision engineering. The book contains ideas that shaped our history, and the violin shows our appreciation for beauty." "Of course," Zethrax said in a tone that suggested he was speaking to a child. "Every species has its developmental stages. We simply outgrew the need for physical tools long ago." A younger Valeri approached with a device that emitted a soft hum. "We've scanned your brains while you were admiring our technology," he said. "Your neural activity suggests you're overwhelmed. Don't worry, many less advanced species react this way when first encountering the Valeri." Jack Nelson stepped forward, his hand moving closer to his sidearm. "You scanned our brains without permission." Lisa placed a hand on Jack's arm, calming him. "We appreciate your hospitality, Ambassador, but we would prefer to be informed before any scans are performed." Zethrax made a dismissive gesture. "Forgive us. We forget that some species still have privacy concerns. Please, join us for a meal. We've synthesized foods compatible with human digestion." As they followed the aliens to another room, Susan whispered to Dr. Martinez, "Did you see how their technology works? There are no visible controls, no interfaces. How do we even begin to understand it?" "More importantly," Martinez whispered back, "did you notice they've scanned everything we brought? They're studying us like specimens." Jack nodded grimly. "And they're not hiding their contempt very well." "Stay diplomatic," Lisa said quietly to her team. "We're here to learn, not to judge. But record everything you see." What none of the humans noticed was the small drone that detached from the ceiling and followed them, recording their every word and movement. The Valeri were indeed studying the humans, but not as potential allies. The journey back to the Horizon was tense and quiet. After spending 6 hours on the Valeri ship, The human delegation returned with mixed feelings. They had seen wonders beyond imagination, but something felt wrong. "Run a full system check," Lisa ordered as soon as they were aboard. "I want to know if anything changed while we were gone." Susan went straight to engineering while Jack began checking the security systems. Dr. Martinez retreated to his lab to review his notes and recordings from the visit. 2 hours later, they gathered in the command center. "Captain, we have a problem," Susan said, her face pale. "There's something in our systems that wasn't there before. The Valari have planted some kind of program in our computers. What is it doing?" Lisa asked, leaning forward in her chair. "It's passive right now, but it has access to everything. Navigation, communications, life support." Susan pulled up diagrams on the screen. "It's unlike any code I've seen. I can't remove it without risking damage to critical systems." Jack cleared his throat. "That's not all. I found this." He placed a small metallic object on the table. It was hidden in the shuttle, a recording device. "They're spying on us," Lisa said, her voice low. "It gets worse," Dr. Martinez added. He tapped his tablet, and a recording began to play. It was Zethrax speaking to another Valari in their own language. "How did you get this?" Lisa asked. "Their translation devices work both ways. Mine recorded everything, including conversations they had when they thought we couldn't understand. I just finished analyzing it." Martins pointed at the screen. "They're not here for peaceful contact. They're scouts for an invasion force." The recording continued, with Zethrax's voice clear despite the alien language. "The humans will make excellent study subjects. Their technology is primitive enough that they pose no threat. We can disable their systems remotely when the main fleet arrives." Lisa stood up and paced the room. "We need to warn Earth. How soon can we break orbit?" "That's another problem," Susan said. "The program in our systems would alert them if we try to leave. And look at this." She pulled up a scanner image showing 3 smaller Valari vessels breaking off from the main ship. They're already heading toward Earth and the colonies. Ben Harris, who had been monitoring communications, spoke up. "Captain, I'm picking up a signal from the Valari ship. They're requesting permission to send more visitors to the Horizon tomorrow." "They're stalling," Jack said, "keeping us here while their scouts move into position." Lisa looked at her crew. "Options. We could try to remove their program manually," Susan suggested. "Disconnect the main computer and work from the backup systems." "That would take days," Ben pointed out. "By then it might be too late." Dr. Martinez had been quiet, studying the Valari technology notes. Now he looked up with an odd expression. "There might be another way," he said slowly. "The Valari are completely dependent on their technology. Did you notice how everything on their ship is automated? How their tools all connect to their central systems?" "What are you suggesting?" Lisa asked. "They expect us to fight technology with technology, but their program only monitors our digital systems." Martins picked up one of the stone tools he had shown the Valari. "They don't consider these a threat because they don't understand them. They've forgotten what it means to work with your hands." Jack nodded slowly, beginning to understand. "We go analog." "Exactly," Martins said. "We can navigate by stars like our ancestors did. Use mechanical controls that aren't connected to the main computer. The Valari program won't detect any of it because it's looking for digital commands." Susan's eyes widened. It could work. The Horizon has manual overrides for emergency situations. We'd have minimal power, but we could move. "And the scout ships?" Lisa asked. "They're small and fast," Jack said, studying the scanner. "But they're heading to fixed destinations. If we change course immediately, we might slip past them." Lisa made her decision. "Do it. Shut down all non-essential systems. Susan, prep the manual controls. Jack, get weapons ready. Physical weapons, nothing connected to the computer. Dr. Martinez, I want everything you know about Valari technology weaknesses. As the crew moved to their tasks, Lisa looked out at the alien ship glowing in the darkness. The Valari had laughed at human tools, thinking them relics of a primitive past. They were about to learn how dangerous primitives could be. 2 weeks later, the Horizon limped into Earth orbit. The journey had been slow and dangerous. Without their main computers, they had navigated using star charts and manual calculations. Their life support systems ran on minimal power. Twice they had nearly been discovered by Valari scout ships. Lisa stood before the United Earth Council in New Geneva. The room was filled with government officials and military leaders from Earth and the colonies. "The Valari are not our friends," she said, her voice tired but firm. "They've been studying us, looking for weaknesses. Their scout ships have already reached Mars and Europa. We believe they're preparing for a full invasion." The council members looked skeptical. A gray-haired man named Alan Peters spoke up. "Captain Montgomery, your story sounds like something from an old science fiction novel. We have received communications from Valari representatives. They claim to be here for peaceful technology exchange." "It's a lie," Lisa insisted. "The program they planted in our ship was designed to take control of our systems. They're likely doing the same to our defense networks right now." Dr. Martinez stepped forward with his tablet. "We captured some of their transmissions. Their peaceful exchange is just a cover while they position their forces." The council reviewed the evidence, but many still seemed unconvinced. One woman asked, "Even if you're right, what can we do? You said their technology is centuries ahead of ours." Before Lisa could answer, the lights in the chamber flickered and went out. The emergency systems kicked in, bathing the room in red light. "What's happening?" someone shouted. A military officer rushed in. "We're under attack. Defense systems worldwide are shutting down. Power grids are failing. Communications are being jammed." "It's starting," Lisa said grimly. "Just like they did to our ship. They're taking control of our technology." In the days that followed, chaos spread across Earth and the colonies. The Valari didn't need to fire a single shot. They simply turned humanity's technology against itself. Power plants shut down. Water systems failed. Communications went dark. Military vessels drifted helplessly in space, their navigation systems locked. Dr. Martinez gathered with Lisa, Jack, and Susan in an underground facility outside Boulder. It was one of the few places still functioning, running on old-style generators that weren't connected to the main grid. "The Valari have hacked everything with advanced computer systems," Susan explained to the military personnel. "Our digital defenses are useless against them." "So what do we do?" asked General Mary Simmons. "Surrender." "No," Dr. Martinez said firmly. "We go back to basics." He spread out paper maps and diagrams on the table. "The Valari have forgotten what it means to work without computers. They've become so dependent on their technology that they don't know how to function without it." Jack nodded. "We've seen how they operate. Everything they do requires their network connection. Even their weapons need constant signals from their ships. We need to organize resistance using methods they won't expect," Lisa added. "Mechanical systems, analog communications, handmade weapons." Susan had been working on a set of devices spread across a workbench. She held up what looked like an old radio. "I've modified these to work on frequencies the Valari don't monitor. They don't use radio waves anymore. They think it's too primitive." General Simmons studied the plans with growing interest. "You're suggesting we fight a technologically superior enemy by going backward." "Not backward," Dr. Martinez corrected. "We're using proven methods that don't rely on vulnerable digital systems. The Valari expect us to try hacking them back or using our best weapons. They're prepared for that. They're not prepared for humans using techniques from our past." "What about their scout ships?" asked one of the officers. "They're already among us. We've learned that the Valari ships emit a specific energy signature," Lisa explained. "We can track them using modified Geiger counters, simple technology they won't detect." Jack spread out a map of known Valari positions. We start small. Guerrilla tactics. Hit their communication nodes using weapons they can't hack. For the first time since the attacks began, the room felt charged with hope. The human race was down, but not defeated. The Valari had laughed at human primitive tools. Now those same tools might be humanity's only chance for survival. 3 months into the invasion, the Valari controlled most major cities around the world. Their ships hovered above urban centers, casting long shadows over once busy streets. Human military forces had been quickly defeated when their advanced weapons systems failed to work. Fighter jets fell from the sky. Tanks stopped in their tracks. Guided missiles turned back on their launchers. But in the mountains, forests, and deserts, something unexpected was happening. The Valari victory wasn't complete. In a hidden valley in Colorado, Lisa Montgomery watched as hundreds of people worked together, building weapons that hadn't been used in centuries. Bows with arrows tipped with special stone. Catapults designed to launch clay pots filled with chemicals. Spears with wooden shafts and stone tips. "How is the training going?" she asked Jack, who was teaching a group of former office workers how to move silently through forests. "Better than expected," he replied. "People are adapting quickly. The Valari don't understand why they can't find us. Their sensors are designed to detect electronic signatures and metal." Nearby, Dr. Martins worked with a team examining different types of stones. He had discovered something remarkable in his research. Certain dense stones found in the Rocky Mountains interfered with Valari sensors. When people carried these stones, they became invisible to Valari detection. "We've refined the process," Martinez told Lisa, holding up a smooth black stone. "This disrupts their scanning frequencies. Their technology can't see through it or past it." Susan approached with exciting news. "The manual printing presses are working. We've distributed instructions to resistance groups around the world. London, Lagos, Sydney, Tokyo, all reporting success with the stone strategy. The resistance had been born out of necessity. With digital communications monitored by the Valari, humans had returned to printed messages carried by runners. With electronic weapons useless, they made new ones from materials the Valari considered too primitive to monitor. "It's time," Lisa said. "The Valari mothership is moving into position over Denver. They think they've won. Their ground forces are spreading out with minimal protection because they believe we've been defeated." That night, the first coordinated human counterattack began. Near Denver, a group led by Jack approached a Valari communications tower. They moved silently, each person carrying disruption stones. The Valari guards never saw them coming. Jack signaled to his team. They used simple pulleys and counterweights to position large stones around the tower's base. The stones weren't just any rocks. They had been carefully selected and shaped to block the specific frequencies the Valari used. In New York, another team used clay pots filled with a compound Susan had developed. The clay was mixed with minerals that blocked Valari transmissions. When they broke near Valari equipment, the dust created dead zones in their network. Across the globe, similar attacks happened simultaneously. The Valari, who relied completely on their technology, suddenly found themselves with gaps in their network. In those places, their weapons stopped working. Their soldiers became disoriented when cut off from their central command. On a hilltop overlooking Denver, Lisa watched through binoculars as lights on the Valari ships flickered. Their smooth movement became erratic. Some smaller vessels even fell from the sky. "It's working," Susan said, monitoring a simple meter that measured Valari energy signatures. "Their network is breaking apart." Dr. Martinez checked his watch, an old mechanical timepiece that didn't need electricity. Phase 2 should begin right about now. In orbit above Earth, human space stations that had been thought abandoned suddenly came to life. Not with their advanced systems, but with manually operated thrusters and mechanical devices. Teams of astronauts who had been hiding in powered-down sections launched crude but effective missiles at Valari ships. The weapons weren't sophisticated, just solid objects accelerated to high speed, But the Valari hadn't prepared defenses against such simple attacks. A Valari commander, his skin now pale with stress, stared at the failing systems around him. "How are they doing this?" he demanded. "They have no functioning technology. They are using stones and sticks." What the Valari commander failed to understand was that humanity hadn't survived and evolved for hundreds of thousands of years by relying on a single approach. Every tool humans had ever created was still part of their collective knowledge. The Valari had forgotten their past. Humans had not. Word of the successful attacks spread quickly through the human resistance, not by radio or internet, but by runners carrying messages, by signal fires on mountaintops, and by simple Morse code tapped out on old copper wires that the Valari hadn't bothered to monitor. "We found their weakness," Lisa told the gathered resistance leaders in the mountain base. "The Valari aren't just dependent on technology. They're physically connected to it." Jack had returned from a dangerous mission inside a damaged Valari scout ship. He had gone in with nothing but stone tools and had discovered something critical. "Their bodies are adapted to their technology," he explained, pointing to rough sketches he had made. "They have implants that connect them to their network. When that connection is broken, they become weak and confused. Cut them off long enough, and they can't even function." Dr. Martinez studied the sketches. "This explains why they became so advanced but lost basic skills. Their evolution took a different path from ours. They merged with their machines." "Can we use this?" asked General Simmons. Susan nodded, holding up a stone arrowhead with strange markings carved into it. "We've already started. These specially carved stones don't just disrupt their signals. They create feedback in their neural implants. It's like static in their brains." The Resistance upgraded their weapons based on this knowledge. Stones weren't just shaped for balance now, but carved with specific patterns that created disruptive energy fields when they moved through the air. The simple became sophisticated in a way the Valari couldn't counter. 1 month later, Jack led a small team toward the largest Valari base in North America. Located in what was once Chicago, they carried no electronic devices, wore clothes made of natural fibers, and used weapons made of wood, stone, and plant-based compounds. The Valari had set up energy barriers around their base that would detect any modern weapon or device, but they had never considered that humans would approach on foot, using compasses and paper maps, carrying weapons made of materials from the earth. "Stay in formation," Jack whispered as they moved through the empty streets. "Remember, they can only see us if we make sudden movements or use anything electronic." The team placed carved stones at key points around the Valari Communication Center. Each stone had been carefully shaped by Dr. Martinez to emit specific disruption patterns when struck in the right way. Inside the Valari base, Ambassador Zethrax was meeting with the invasion commanders. His once confident demeanor had changed to one of confusion and anger. "How are the humans doing this?" he demanded. "They have no functioning technology. Our forces are losing ground everywhere." A junior officer approached nervously. "The humans are using methods we don't understand. They fight without their machines. They communicate without signals we can detect. They move without vehicles we can track." "Impossible." Zethrax slammed his hand on the table. "They are a primitive species. Their strength comes from their technology, which we have disabled." At that moment, the building shook as Jack's team activated the stone network. The carefully placed rocks began to vibrate, creating overlapping energy fields that interfered with the Valari neural networks. Valari soldiers clutched their heads in pain. Control panels flickered and died. The central communication node, the link between the base and the mothership, went dark. Outside, Jack gave the signal. Hundreds of resistance fighters emerged from hiding places, all carrying stone weapons. They moved quickly through the confused Valari defenses. The aliens, cut off from their network, could barely coordinate their movements. In orbit, the Valari mothership lost contact with its ground forces. The ship's commander stared at the failing systems in disbelief. "How can this be happening?" he asked no one in particular. They are using stones against our quantum technology. What the Valari commander failed to understand was that every piece of human technology, from the first stone tool to the most advanced computer, represented a step in human development. By disabling modern technology, the Valari hadn't eliminated human capabilities. They had simply forced humans to use older, more fundamental skills that the aliens had long forgotten. As night fell over Chicago, the humans had taken control of the Valari base. The once mighty alien force had been defeated by weapons made of wood and stone. Jack looked up at the stars, knowing that the final battle would be fought not on Earth, but above it, on the Valari mothership itself. The final assault on the Valari mothership began at dawn. Lisa stood on the landing pad of the recaptured Space Center in Houston, watching as volunteers prepared for the most dangerous mission of the war. The plan was simple but risky. Take the fight directly to the Valari command ship. "Are you sure about this?" General Simmons asked. "We could wait them out. Their ground forces are in retreat." Lisa shook her head. "As long as the mothership remains in orbit, they can bring reinforcements. We need to end this now." The humans had repaired a small fleet of space shuttles, not with their original advanced systems, but with mechanical controls and backup systems the Valari couldn't hack. Dr. Martinez had designed special stone panels for the hulls that would mask their approach from Valari sensors. "The shuttles are ready," Susan reported. "We've installed the manual override systems. No computers, no electronic targeting. Just like flying planes from 100 years ago." Jack checked his equipment one last time. His pack contained tools that would have looked familiar to a Stone Age human. Carefully shaped rocks with sharp edges, wooden handles bound with natural fibers, and the special disruptor stones that had proven so effective against Valari technology. "Remember the plan," Lisa told the assembled team. "We dock at these maintenance ports. The Valari won't expect an attack there because they're not designed for ships. We'll use the manual cutting tools to create our own entrance." Dr. Martinez addressed the group. Once inside, place the disruptor stones at these junction points. When activated, they'll create a cascade failure in the Valari network, but we have to reach the central control node to complete the mission. The journey to the mothership was tense but uneventful. The stone panels worked as designed, hiding the shuttles from Valari detection. When they reached the massive alien vessel, it hung silent and dark against the stars, unaware of their approach. The boarding team attached themselves to the hull using simple magnetic clamps. Jack led the way, using a manual drill to create an opening in the maintenance hatch. No lasers, no electronic tools, just human muscle power and simple machines. Inside, the corridors of the mothership glowed with the same soft blue light Lisa remembered from her first visit to the Valari ship. But now she understood what it meant. The entire vessel was alive with Valari technology, connected directly to their nervous systems. "Place the stones according to the plan," she ordered quietly. "Then meet at the central node." The team moved through the ship like ghosts. The Valari, never expecting humans to board their vessel, had few internal defenses. Wherever the humans encountered Valari soldiers, they used the disruptor stones to confuse and disable them. In the heart of the ship, they found what they were looking for. The central control node was a massive crystalline structure pulsing with energy. Around it, Valari technicians worked frantically, trying to restore connections to their forces on Earth. Ambassador Zethrak stood at a control panel, his normally blue skin now pale and sickly. When the humans entered, he stared in disbelief. "Impossible," he whispered. "How did you get aboard?" "The same way we've defeated you on the ground," Lisa replied. "With tools you thought were too primitive to be a threat." "You cannot defeat us," Zethrax insisted. "We are centuries beyond you in development." Dr. Martinez stepped forward, carrying a stone tool that looked like a simple chisel. "That's where you're wrong. You developed in only one direction. You forgot your roots. Humans remember." With precise movements, Martinez began carving specific patterns into the crystal control node. The patterns were based on his understanding of how Valari technology interacted with energy fields. Each chip and cut created disruptions in the system. "Stop him," Zethrax ordered, but the Valari guards were already affected by the disruptor stones placed throughout the ship. They moved slowly, confused and uncoordinated. Jack and his team kept them back while Martinez worked. Susan monitored the effects with a simple mechanical device she had designed. "It's working," she called out. "The system is destabilizing." The crystal structure began to vibrate. Lights flickered throughout the ship. Valari crew members collapsed as their neural connections failed. Zethrax watched in horror as his advanced civilization was brought down by humans using stones. "How is this possible?" he asked, his voice weak as his own connection to the network faded. "You evolved to depend completely on your technology," Lisa told him. "When humans lose technology, we adapt. We go back to older methods. We survive." As the mothership's systems shut down, the humans retreated to their shuttles. Within hours, Valari forces around the world surrendered as their connection to the mothership failed. 1 month later, Dr. Martinez stood on a hill overlooking the rebuilt city of Denver. He was carving into a large stone monument. The carving told the story of the invasion and humanity's victory. "Why stone?" Susan asked, watching him work. "We could record this digitally now that our systems are back online." Martinez smiled as he continued carefully etching the stone. "Because stone lasts. It survived before our civilization, and it will survive after. The Valari forgot their past. We're making sure we never forget ours." The monument would stand for thousands of years, telling future generations how humanity had faced extinction and how the tools the aliens had mocked had ultimately saved the human race.